Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into the absolutely fascinating story of leadership. We're going to trace how our ideas about what makes a great leader have changed, from these larger-than-life heroes on horseback to the complex, connected networks we need for the future. This is a question people have been asking for, well, forever. And as you're about to see, the answers have changed. A lot, reflecting the world around us. So where does this whole conversation even begin? Our journey kicks off back in the 19th century with an idea that, let's be honest, still has a pretty powerful grip on our imagination: the leader as this epic, almost mythical hero. The first big theories were actually pretty straightforward. The thinking was, basically, that great leaders were just born that way. Simple as that. This was called the great man theory, the idea that history is really just a story about a few extraordinary people. Later on, this morphed into something called trait theory, where researchers were scrambling to create the perfect checklist of leadership qualities. This quote from the historian Thomas Carlyle, it just nails the whole great man theory. He was arguing that these heroic figures, just by their own genius and willpower, literally bend history to their will. But, and this is a big but, almost as soon as he said it, someone else had something to say about it. And this is where things get really interesting. On the other side of the ring, you had the philosopher Herbert Spencer. He pushed back hard, arguing that these so-called great men were really just a product of their society. In his mind, the times create the leader, not the other way around. And that disagreement, right there, set the stage for 100 years of debate. So that whole showdown between Carlyle and Spencer, it was a total game changer. It forced researchers to realize that leadership isn't just about who you are, it's also about where and when you are. Suddenly, context was everything. So let's fast forward to the 1950s. The thinking shifted from what leaders are to what they actually do, and two main styles emerged. You've got your task-oriented leader, who's all about the to-do list and hitting targets. And then you've got the relationship-oriented leader, who's focused on keeping the team happy and engaged. The problem? Neither one worked all the time. And that realization led directly to this huge breakthrough idea called contingency theory. This was a pivotal moment. It was the first time everyone kind of admitted, hey, there is no single best way to lead. The right approach is, well, it's contingent on everything: the situation, the team, what you're trying to do. Just think about it for a second. The decisive command and control leader you want in a crisis, that's probably the last person you want trying to build a collaborative culture during peacetime. The situation itself practically dictates the kind of leader who's going to thrive. Okay, so we've got the leader, we've got the situation, but there was still a huge piece of the puzzle missing. It took a while, but researchers finally realized that leadership is a two-way street. It's a relationship, and it's totally shaped by the followers. And once people started focusing on followers, this really wild, kind of upside-down idea emerged in 1970 called servant leadership. Robert Greenleaf was the guy behind it, and his philosophy completely flips the script. The leader's main job isn't to be in charge, it's to serve the people they lead. Greenleaf gave us this incredible test to measure a leader's success. And notice, it has nothing to do with profits or market share. It's all about the people. Are they growing? Are they becoming better versions of themselves? This was a massive shift away from the leader's ego and toward the team's development. All of this brings the conversation full circle. If leaders aren't just born great and their style has to change with the context and the followers, then what's left? Well, the answer turned out to be character. The focus swung back to those timeless inner qualities that allow a leader to handle any situation with integrity. I mean, just think about Winston Churchill during World War II. His sheer refusal to back down is a masterclass in resilience. That grit, that refusal to give in, showed how a leader's character can inspire an entire nation to get through the absolute darkest of times. But strength isn't always about being unbending. Mahatma Gandhi showed the world a totally different kind of power. He proved that compassion isn't a weakness, it's an incredible force for change, one that can inspire massive movements and challenge entire empires, all without raising a fist. And then there's this third vital quality, captured perfectly here by General George Patton: trust. His whole philosophy was, give your people the goal, the what, and then get out of the way and trust them to figure out the how. It's a powerful lesson in delegation and a huge sign of respect for your team's abilities. So when you pull all these different threads together, you start to see a blueprint emerge. You've got the persistence of Churchill, the empathy of Gandhi, the trust of Patton. These aren't just nice to haves. They are the absolute bedrock of effective leadership, no matter what century you're in. Okay, so that's the history. But where does all this leave us right now? Today, we are facing these huge, global, interconnected problems that leaders of the past could never have even dreamed up. So what kind of leadership do we need for our future? Right. That old great man, lone hero idea we started with, it's just not going to cut it anymore. The kinds of complex, messy challenges we face, things like climate change, what some people call wicked problems, they require a totally new model. It's called system leadership, and it's all about collaboration. To help us figure this out, the University of Cambridge developed a really powerful framework. It looks at leadership not as some title or position, but as a dynamic process. It starts with a clear purpose, a sustainable future for all. It's guided by a set of core principles, and it always recognizes the importance of place or context. This new kind of leadership is built on 4 key ideas that all have to work together. Leaders have to be connected to understand the whole system. They have to be collaborative, working with everyone, not just their own team. They have to be creative to find new answers, and they have to be courageous to stand up for their values, especially when it's tough. So ultimately, what we're talking about here is a massive shift. We are moving away from that old idea of the single heroic figure standing alone on a pedestal, and we're moving towards something that looks a lot more like this complex, interconnected web where every single strand matters. And that, right there, reframes everything. It suggests that leadership isn't some title you wait to be given. It's an active choice. It's something everyone, at every level, can decide to do. It's not about being in charge anymore. It's about taking responsibility to make things better. So the question isn't for other people. It's for you. How will you choose to lead?